I'd like to know what you think of these government departments: OSHA, FDA, EPA. I think private business failed us in these three areas back when these things didn't exist. Really? UL failed us? When? Seems like it's worked a lot better than government has. Businesses sold addicting drugs without listing the ingredients on the label, and it was usually just opium. Really? Here's a couple of drugs sold back then, clearly labeled heroin and cocaine. Our waterways were disgusting before the EPA. No, they weren't. If anything, they were a lot better than they are now. Do you realize that our government is one of the biggest polluters in the world? And that's true regardless of whether Republicans or Democrats are in power. And look what business did to workers before unions and OSHA. That was what businesses did to workers with government support. Look at how government stepped in on the side of corporations to put down unions, labor protests, and so forth. In fact, one of the big reasons why judges no longer recognize the right of jury nullification is because of the 1895 decision Sparf versus U.S., where the Supreme Court rejected this right 5-4. At the time, it was against the law to strike or form a union, but they had a problem because juries kept nullifying the laws. This was done precisely to stop unionization. The reasons why unions could not form in the late 19th century is 100% because of government. Which nation do you think has the best foreign affairs policy? Well, I'm not an expert and I don't know much about countries other than the US, but from what I've seen, Switzerland has a pretty good foreign policy. It's a non-interventionist policy, and as a result, they're pretty much left alone. Even the Nazis went out of their way to avoid invading them, probably because everyone there owns firearms. If we implemented the gold standard, how would there be enough gold to support our economy? If there isn't enough, then what other precious metals should be used? This is a popular question, but it's out of complete ignorance. There isn't some magical amount of gold that a dollar has to represent. How much gold do you have? How many dollars are there? Divide. That's it. And no other precious metals should be used. One big problem with the gold standard in the US was that it wasn't a gold standard. It was a mixed metal standard. If you have one definition of the dollar in terms of gold and another in terms of silver, then what you do is fix the prices of silver and gold in relation to each other, and it's important that they be allowed to fluctuate according to market forces. Considering that coal mining towns were some of the worst hellholes in history, what do you consider to be the libertarian solution, safety, etc., to these places rather than government intervention? Well, the solution would be to make it a free market. The coal mining towns were only able to do what they did with government support. Without it, you had stores being built just on the edge of town with an exchange rate for local scrip. The town had to call in the government to shut them down. They also had to use government, including the National Guard, and in some cases even the Army, to shut down the free speech and free press of the town's inhabitants to prevent them from unionizing. What is the libertarian position on monopolies? Should a company be allowed to temporarily make prices so low that they will drive their competition out of business, only then to raise them once all their competition is gone? It can't happen, not in a free market. As soon as you try, the competition comes back with a vengeance. Rockefeller tried that and failed at every turn. He just wasn't able to lower prices enough to get rid of the competition, and as soon as he raised them, more competition sprang up. He tried buying out all the competition, but all he really did was create a market for startups. People were actually starting oil companies for the purpose of selling them to Standard Oil. Obviously, you can't keep that up for long, or you end up spending your money on nothing else and your business fails. What's your take on Thunderfoot's recent video on Ron Paul's comments about swine flu? Well, it would be nice if he'd actually addressed the points Dr. Paul was making in the video. As he didn't, I don't see there's anything to respond to. Comparing the risk of getting the flu to the risks of getting unwanted side effects from the treatment is a valid concern. Not wanting to repeat the disastrous mistakes of 1976 is a valid concern. Pointing out that the panic around swine flu was way out of line with the reality of it is valid. Pointing out the absurdity of the Department of Homeland Security getting into it is valid. Pointing out that it's an open door for the government to grab even more power is valid. Thunderfoot didn't respond to the substance of any of that. He went on about one legitimate concern of how the virus could spread into the U.S., but he didn't get into the scare issue. He didn't get into the disastrous mistakes governments made in the past. He didn't answer any of the concerns that Dr. Paul had brought up, and nothing Dr. Paul said has anything to do with sanitations at customs, which I'm sure he'd be in favor of. There's just nothing to respond to. Well, I hope you enjoyed this. Thanks to everyone who posted questions, and I hope you keep watching. For those of you who are tired of the political and economic videos, my next 2 are going to debunk more creationist nonsense. The next one going after that Don McLeroy idiot. Thanks for watching.